Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I am here for another Monday this and that video where it's kind of a potpourri style video where I talk about all kinds of different things, sometimes answering questions or comments that came in the last week, giving you updates of projects I have going on, whatever else I feel like talking about. So let's get to the topics of today, and I'm going to start off with the lavender, since I'm wearing purple. I was trying to decide if it should be the kimchi eggs or the lavender, but we'll do the lavender. So that is what I've been putting up this week. So you can see right here, I've got a quart jar full. I'm not sure if I'm gonna use up the rest of the flowers. I still have more out there to harvest if I'm gonna dry those up, or just use them in making vinegar teas and stuff, just using them fresh. But what I want to do is let you know of a video I did a couple years ago on the benefits of lavender, which I will link to in the description box down below. What I use the dried lavender flowers for is making infused oils for my skin cream. Sometimes I may use them in a tincture. Usually it's going to be a blend, such as my deep sleep tincture and other such. But mostly these do get used in the infused oil, along with other herbs such as comfrey, plantain, honeysuckle, and much more. And that's the skin cream that I use daily, and I make it myself. I even have a video I'll link to down below where I show how I make the oil and then the skin cream from that. And anyway, one of the things I wanted to say too, because it just so happens that one of my very old videos about lavender leaves, about how you can use lavender leaves. They're edible. They are more tasty in my opinion than the flowers themselves, but you can use them in teas, you can use them in cooking, you can even use them kind of as a rosemary replacement. The flavor's a little bit different, but anyway, I did this video and somebody commented on it saying, you do know that the Spanish and French lavender are not edible, right? When people do that little right, it's kind of that little dig, you know. But anyway, and I'm like, I know that's not true, because I was growing Spanish lavender because I was trying all kinds of different varieties. I believe I have or had French. I don't even know what all I have anymore. What I do know is English is the one that's considered the most culinary one of all of them, but that doesn't mean the rest of them are not edible. In fact, I found a page that talked about the culinary uses of French, English, and Spanish. Now, I did pull out my Spanish lavender because I didn't like the taste of the leaves or the smell or just the look of it in general. It's a very different kind of lavender. But again, the lavender leaves, you can dry them up or use them fresh. I prefer them fresh, though I've dried them up and used them in many things before. I really like using them fresh when it comes to using them in a culinary way, in both teas or adding as just an herb to whatever. Like maybe I just feel like having some white rice and I can throw a little thyme and lavender leaves. They make a nice combination. A little red pepper and whatever else I'm in the mood for. But things like that I really enjoy. So I just want to clarify that yes, they are all edible. It's just that not all of them taste the same or taste good at all, in my personal opinion, when it comes to the Spanish lavender. But anyway, lavender is just an excellent healing herb in so many ways, inside and outside. So I recommend you check out that video, which I, by the way, put in some pretty thorough links, even from the NIH.gov, that had some scientific studies on the benefits of lavender to the body and how healing it is. The next one, let's talk about those kimchi eggs. So they don't look really pretty right now, but of course they're fermented, so they get cloudy. That's what fermented foods do. Here's a picture of it the day I started it. So you can see it's clear, and all my green onions were floating to the top. Well, this was an idea that came to me because I'm like, I've got a lot of eggs coming in and I'm not selling as much. I thought, well, I could advertise to more people and start selling more. And I'm like, no, I really want some more fermented eggs. I did put up a total of 3 jars of the dehydrated eggs. So now I'm going to be more into doing the fermented eggs, because this is one of my favorite ways to eat eggs, especially in a hard-boiled form. So I did a video on how to make just standard fermented eggs that I'll link to down below. Just keep in mind, I had accidentally cut off the section, didn't realize it until way too late, of topping the jar off with water, which was the last step I did. And somehow it got topped off, and people were like, wait, did I miss something? And it's like, well, yeah, because I stupidly somehow had cut it off and didn't even realize in the editing process. But anyway, I was thinking about making kimchi, but I also knew I wanted to make fermented eggs. And I'm like, I know what I'll do. I'll combine the two. So I boiled the eggs. I put in my fermentation starter, making sure, of course, in this case, I used the ginger one. I added dried ginger, the green onions from my garden, plus some garlic, some red pepper flakes, just more for looks, but also my Chinese 5-color pepper powder, which I grow myself. I love the Chinese 5-color peppers. Favorite hot pepper ever. But anyway, very spicy. And also added in some fish sauce that I remembered I had. I almost never use it in kimchi because I always forget I have it. So I use that up in there, especially with the eggs, because you really want to get that flavor down into the eggs. And then let it ferment for about 3 days. I'm still leaving it on the counter now to really intensify the flavor. And today I'm going to stick it in the fridge. I just left it out for this video, but I've eaten a couple of them since. They are so good. They turned out exactly the flavor I hoped they would, and love them. So this I'm definitely doing again. In fact, I'll probably start another batch in a couple of days. Speaking of the fish sauce, since I used up what I had, it was something I bought at our local store. Our local store doesn't have a whole lot of Asian food stuff, but they do have some. So there's a market my son clued me in on that you can find online that has pretty good prices on your different Asian foods that you might not, especially if you live in a place like we do. We're a really small town and very remote, so we don't have Asian food stores. That was one thing I missed about living over in the Seattle area, is there are some great Asian food stores there. So I decided I would try 2 different fish sauces. They just came in yesterday, so they're not even opened yet. And what that is it's just made from anchovies. Pretty clean ingredients, just anchovies, salt, water, basically is all it is. This one, I don't think this one has any sugar in it. I can't remember. This one does, but I thought I'd try both. This was actually a better deal. It was a bigger, for the size bottle it was. So I thought I'd try them both and compare them. It is a nice addition when you're making kimchi to add that fish sauce, and it is pretty common to do so. I don't always do that, but anyway, with that said, I wanted to tell you more about this market. It's called We Market. It's spelled with 3 E's and an exclamation point. What I'm going to do is, I found out I can create a referral link. And so I'm going to put that in the description box down below if you're looking for a place to find some of these Asian foods that you can't find locally. And the cool thing about it is you can get $20 off your first order. And then I also get $20 off my next order when you go through that referral link. So anyway, what started this off was my son had been hearing about these mushrooms. So they're very, very spicy. What kind of mushrooms? They're enoki mushrooms. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's Enoki. And they're cut almost like noodles. They're long and skinny. Then they're in this nice, yummy, spicy sauce, and they taste like chicken. And I was, he brought some over so I could taste them. I'm like, oh my goodness, that is so good. And so he sent me the link to the store, and I had to get some for myself. And so kind of a guilty pleasure because, a little small jar of this stuff, but it's not a bad price for even something like this. And I really, really like having them with some kind of noodle or pasta. Sometimes I'll have them with spaghetti noodles because that's what I have. But my very favorite way is to have like a bean thread type noodle with them. So, and these cook up really fast. And for years in our local store, I kept hoping they would get something like this in, and they never did. because I was some different dishes like bulgogi with the side of like this kind of chow mein, Korean chow mein kind of thing. And finally, I was like, oh, now that I have this place, let me see what they have. And so I decided to give these a try. Really happy with them. But there's all kinds of different ones out there. These particular ones, I believe, are made in Thailand. And I don't look for stuff made in China. I try to avoid anything made in China. These two sauces are also made in Thailand. But a very guilty pleasure I want to tell you about is the Japanese Kit Kats. I had to try them. So they have strawberry. It's like a strawberry cream, a white chocolate, and the chocolate orange or orange chocolate Kit Kats. Now, one thing I noticed about the Japanese version of Kit Kats, they also have the more traditional version made in Japan. The ingredients are better. I'm not saying they're 100% great, but for a guilty pleasure, definitely a better option than any of the ones made in America. I also tried on this last order the banana ones, thinking, I don't know, banana, I don't know. They're good. They kind of taste to me like a banana cream pie. And you can see the little crispy cookie thing in the middle, kind of like being the crust. Very good. So if you're looking for some Kit Kats but are made at least a little healthier, because by the way, these have real orange in them and these have real strawberry. They're not artificial flavors, they're real. It's like, yes. So anyway, lots of other great stuff if you want to check that out. And you're just, again, especially if you live in a place where you don't have a great Asian market close to you, you might really appreciate that. So then the next thing I want to talk about. So last week I had a video come out on milk, and I think in that video, I didn't listen to it again, so I don't remember exactly what I said, but it seems like I remember talking about how I store A2 cow's milk, and just kind of briefly mention that A2 milks can often be a good choice for people who have issues with cow's milk at all, digestive issues, because the A2, it's like the old milk. It's the way milk always used to be until we started hybridizing the cows. And so now you can still get milk like that, but that's the milk people used to drink and used to use, and why one of the reasons why there was never issues with lactose and the milk fats and stuff like that. So this is why the A2 milk can be a better choice. But obviously, of course, I know that goat's milk is another great option for those who have issues with cow's milk. I've known this for many years. And in fact, a lot of people who have started following me within the last year or two may not even know, because the video is no longer on YouTube, about where I was sharing how my grandson went on this very product right here, because his mother was really struggling with nursing. And I had a bunch of this stocked up. I recommended it. He thrived on it. He finally, because he was starting to lose weight and get really skinny because she just wasn't producing enough milk. So she started giving him this, and he really started putting on weight. He was so healthy. He loved it. Yes, obviously, I know this is a great option for those who can't nurse. I just want people to know that. I think a lot of people, one person was rather rude about it. No, I know this. And that video, by the way, this is one of the reasons I'm bringing this up, got removed by YouTube. So it can only now be found on Rumble in my playlist on videos, banned on YouTube. Because somewhere along the way, another rule they added is that you cannot talk about replacements for like this for store-bought formula. Anyway, you might find that video interesting if you'd like to learn more about it. But I can't say too much. I might have already said too much. But yeah, I got in trouble for that. And even though it had been up for a couple of years before it got taken down. Anyway, so yes, I also have this stocked up too, but I save it for such things like that. If something like that ever comes up again and somebody needs this for that reason. but all the rest of the cow milk that we put up is for us. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. Go check out my Rumble channel. Oh, and then the last thing, I don't have any visuals, but I can always put pictures, is that with the Comfrey coming in, somebody had asked me about Comfrey tea. I understand that there's a whole lot of controversy over consuming Comfrey internally, but it's because there's a lot of misunderstanding. I remember hearing that too. In fact, when I shot my video on Comfrey and the benefits of it years ago, I still hadn't got to a point where I'd started drinking the tea because I was still nervous because I felt like I still didn't fully understand. I'm not saying I fully understand all the facts either, but there were certain people like old Alabama gardener who made Comfrey tea every day, and he did videos on this. And I finally got brave enough to take my Comfrey and make a tea out of it several years ago. Loved it immediately. Love how it made me feel too. I just felt so good. And so now I kind of forgot about it for a while, and it's like, what am I doing? Why am I not making Comfrey tea? So I've been making peppermint Comfrey tea. I do like blending it with other things, but it has such a wonderful flavor that it's such a mild flavor, and it's a decent flavor that blends well with any other herb that you might want to mix in to make your tea. Like peppermint and comfrey is really good, but like a comfrey with ginger and dandelion can also be good. Whatever sound, or lemon balm, that was another one. It's just really good. It's super good for you. But here's the thing about comfrey, and it's part of the reason why there's so much debate and controversy, is that it's not the leaves you have to worry about so much. I'm not saying you shouldn't still practice moderation. It's the root. It's using the root internally that you have to be careful of. So I'm not saying go out and start drinking gallons of comfrey tea, but most people should be pretty safe to have at least 1 cup a day of comfrey leaf tea. And just give it a try and see how it makes you feel. Obviously, considering if you may have any allergies or other sensitivities, that applies to any herb or anything you've never tried and added to your diet. All I can say is old Alabama gardener, he swore by that stuff, and I know some other people do too. And remember, when you're listening to voices on YouTube or even reading blogs from just private bloggers that may talk about that, mostly what's happening is they're parroting information they heard from somebody else. And so what happens is information like that, the misunderstanding gets spread far and wide, just like the whole I've shared many times about how people believe that quinine is in citrus peels because somebody said that, probably just misquoting, misstating it, or were misheard. Maybe what they said is quinine-like properties of citrus peels, but there's no quinine in citrus peels. It can be found in cinchona bark, but what you can find is quercetin. But anyway, all it takes is for one person to either hear it wrong or say it wrong, and then it spreads like wildfire, and everybody believes there's quinine in citrus peels, and there's not. But quercetin and quinine have very similar, even though one's an alkaloid and one's a flavonoid, they are both zinc ionophores that carry the zinc into the cells that can help prevent and kill certain viruses. So that's where a lot of that came from. But anyway, so just remember that if you hear something from just one person, don't go, oh, this has got to be true. Even if it's me, I get stuff wrong too, because I'm still learning every day. And we should never assume that we all, that we've come to a point where we know it all. If we ever do, then we're just going to get more stupid rather than more smart, because there's always new things to learn. And sometimes what we might have learned originally might have been incorrect. And we need to keep doing our deeper research, avoid AI like the plague, because they're almost always going to be wrong, especially when it comes to taking medicinal herbs. And, remember, AI just grabs their information from people like me or some other bloggers who might have wrong information. And even when that information was worded differently in their blog, AI will read it and put it out there opposite of what they said. So avoid that. Don't ever use AI to get your information. Compare all your information from real people, from the science, from the health websites, and yes, even the NIH when you're talking about digging in to the benefits of different herbs. So yes, they're going to be wrong about some things, but so are some of the naturopaths or the people that claim to be herbalists. They can be wrong about stuff too. Compare all your information. What I can say is I've been drinking Comfrey leaf tea for several years now. Never had any negative side effects as a result. And oh, I almost forgot. Here's the vinegar I started last week. See that color? It's getting nice and pink. It's not quite as red as I thought it would be with all the rose petals I put in there, but it still has more time and I can always throw in more rose petals. Oh, and I did throw in some lavender too. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed my this and that for the week. And any thoughts, ideas you'd like to share, please put those in comments down below. And don't forget to check out those links I'll be putting on these various topics. And don't forget, we're in July now, so that Jarred Up July collaboration is going on, and my video is publishing on Wednesday as part of the collaboration. And thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.